So I feel like we're back onto a franchise that doesn't have as much interesting things as they should. We're talking about Minnesota Timberwolves. Sorry, Minnesota fans. Seems exciting right now with
That's the
the big
nicest
three of
possible
Ant.
way you could say this is franchise is a total failure.
Thank you to Ant, Cat, and Gobert for just making it interesting for Timberwolves fans in 2023. Um, my image is the Kevin Garnett MVP. This is the peak player part of your existence almost. This is the most competitive that you've been, and you weren't even that competitive. It was a poorly constructed team. They had the Joe Smith drama where they got fined and they lost like five draft picks. No one wanted to go there as a free agent because it's cold as hell. It it just never panned out for the Timberwolves. And the fact that someone actually won an MVP there because they were so good in a position that was also, like bigs were good back then. He's competing against Shaq, he's competing against Duncan, Alonzo Mourning. Like there is some competition in that position. And he, also became the mid-range assassin as a power forward and, very iconic. That's why I picked it. That's it. There's nothing else I can say about Minnesota than this. It's you had a you had an MVP. I'm sorry.
And you could have had two, right? Looking at my image, and I feel like we've almost picked like the opposite ends of the spectrum here. You've picked the player, arguably, probably the most influential, impactful player that the T-Wolves have ever had in their history, right? KG, yeah, KG. He's that guy, and he got him to the conference finals, right? And he won himself that MVP, and then he went to Boston, got that ring. So whereas my image here, and you suggested obviously sharing the draft board, but mine specifically, the pick directly before Steph Curry, the Minnesota Timberwolves selected Johnny Flynn. And if anyone's sort of probably under the age of 20 right now, you're probably like, who's Johnny Flynn, right? And rightfully so. Um, because he was the player drafted before Steph Curry that played 2 years at the T Wolves and 4 years at the league, and then he was out of the league. And yeah, look, I've obviously picked other images of iconic draft moments, some of them successful moments, I guess, for franchises, and some of them not successful moments for franchises. And I think this one here is clearly a failure for the T Wolves to identify the point guard for their organization for the future there, where they picked Ricky Rubio, solid career. Had a obviously was one of the youngest players in the Euro League, I believe. When he hit the scene, and everyone sort of thought he was going to have a. You know what? Here's another take. Ricky Rubio's probably had an underachieving career to a certain extent. Yeah, great extent because he can't shoot because his percentages have been so low. But he's still a good floor general. Sort of shares the ball, gets a couple of steals a game. Had a serviceable career. But Johnny Flynn, 4 years in the league. They did all the due diligence. They decided not to pick that guard from Davidson. They went with Johnny Flynn, and the T Wolves are still a joke. They're a joke when they traded for Gobert. It's going to be an interesting year, this year for them. But you know what? I think everything Steph Curry's done for the Warriors that speaks for itself. And yeah, that's a whole nother story that the T Wolves, could have
Well,
had.
I've updated your photo. I've updated your photo.
Oh, thank you.
So
What have
I've
you
got the
what
one
have you given me?
where David Stern's
Oh yeah.
shaking
Oh, I got
Curry's
everything now.
hand.
Got everything. Great.
But
Oh, you got
it's
Steph Curry.
important. It's important because it is Johnny Flynn right beforehand, but it's also Ricky Rubio. And you made reference to this, but it's important to break it down a little bit more. Minnesota had two picks in a row, which is quite rare in a lottery situation. And they addressed the need. They felt with Kevin Love on the team, and I think Al Jefferson was still there at the time, that clearly we needed a guard. So they picked Ricky Rubio and Johnny Flynn. They picked Ricky Rubio thinking a distributor. They picked Johnny Flynn thinking a scorer. Ricky Rubio didn't pan out for a variety of reasons. Maybe he was too young. Maybe there was too much pressure. He's the ulterior to Luka Doncic, right? That young kid that's really successful that didn't have NBA success, but he also did hurt his ACL very early in his career. So it's, things happen, right? Trajectory. But Johnny Flynn didn't pan out. Johnny Flynn was too small, couldn't score at that level, or couldn't maintain it. I believe he had a stint down at NBL. So, that was the most exciting thing for us when it comes to Johnny Flynn. But it is a revisionist history, but you're looking at that. You had two picks in a row. You picked two guards and you missed on both to then have the third guard in a row picked, not taken. Now, let's be honest. I would actually say that Steph Curry ending up on Minnesota wouldn't have played his career the same way. There's no way. Minnesota, I don't think I don't think Minnesota would have put a team around him. I think Steph Curry, for as great as he is a player that needs the right team built around him. And I think we've had this discussion before, and it's not the time to have it again. But I don't see him having the same level of success in Minnesota. But you're right. This is a big swing and a miss for them.
This is two guys with spare time. I'm Faz, this is Nick. You're probably a basketball fan like us, so hopefully you can throw us an assist and giving our video a like and subscribing to our channel.
And if you got thoughts, feelings, or even some suggestions, please put them down in the comment section below. And thank you for using your spare time to watch us in our spare time.